Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates. And so we're going to have a look at the GFS, the GM, the ECMWF, and the GFS ensembles at what potential impacts from the sudden stratospheric warming over the next few weeks. If you haven't already, check out my video from yesterday where we looked at the potential impacts of the sudden stratospheric warming, comparing the different events that we've had over the past decade. Now, we're going to run through the GFS, the GM, the ECMWF, and I can tell you now that they are all starting to show that there's potential impacts from the sudden stratospheric warming. It is expected that this sort of time range, at the end of their runs, we should start to see pockets of blocking or potential impacts, maybe. However, there's nothing really pinned down yet, and there's still a chance that nothing happens. Or there's a chance it develops and comes later, but we'll just run through and have a look. So at the moment we've got easterly winds pulling in, a few snow showers, and there's maybe a potential band of snow moving down from the north with this small area of low pressure on Thursday into Friday, and we'll maybe look at that a bit more detail if anything happens with that tomorrow. Beyond that, high pressure sort of topples in across the country. Now the GFS has high pressure further south, so pulling more of a westerly flow, so a lot milder air moving in, as you can see. Quite a lot of milder air moving in. It's not very mild, but again, it's a lot milder than we've had recently. Temperatures going to around average. We've still got a bit of blocking to our north, but nothing really happening with that. Just a small area of high pressure. Beyond that, we generally go westerly, but it's not really unsettled. It's generally quite mild. And as we head towards daytime, a deep area of low pressure is out in the Atlantic, tries to move in. It sort of gets elongated out, and we just keep pulling in westerly winds. And by the end of the run, we're pulling in westerly areas of low pressure, but an area of blocking is building up towards Greenland, and you can see a big Greenland high is developing. And although we're pulling up southerly winds, very mild winds at the moment, big, deep, cool pool of cold air is towards Scandinavia, ready to plunge southwards. Once this blocking gets a bit more hold, you can see big beast of cold air ready to push southwards. So again, this is potential impacts, some potential things we're starting to see as the body was trying to deal with the sudden stratospheric warming. We'll have a look at the GM now. GM has very similar patterns in the short range. Does show the high pressure toppling, high pressure more over the top of the country, so a bit potentially colder and more frosty in the south. Beyond that, it maintains fairly westerly. As we head towards day 10, nothing really happening, a bit of ridging further north. We are seeing colder air plunge into Scandinavia and Eastern Europe. So if we do build some high pressure towards Greenland and towards Scandinavia, we could be starting to pull in some colder air from the northeast. But GM not showing anything at the moment regarding the sudden stratospheric warming. If we look at the northern hemisphere, there are pockets of blocking appearing, so it's potentially starting to show a little bit of blocking in the northern latitudes, but nothing too substantial or out of the normal yet. The ECMWF, easterly winds, very similar pattern in the short term. Again, high pressure further north, just with the GM, so maybe a bit more settled further south, but probably quite wet and mild further north. But as we head towards day 10, an area of high pressure builds over the top of the UK, and it looks like it's heading one place, and that's north, towards Greenland or Scandinavia, and then a big, deep, cold pool to our east and our northeast. Bitterly cold airs within that, and we're already starting to tap into a little bit of that along the east coast, and that would be driving in very cold air, a beast from the east. It would be classified if this high pressure got a bit further north and we started to put in those bitterly cold easterly winds. If you look at the northern hemisphere, you can already see there's blocking air of high pressure over the top of the North Pole already, and it does look like if we could run this on another couple of days, this would link with that air of high pressure, and we would be pulling in a bitterly cold easterly wind. Now, this is only one ECMWF run. It's quite a substantial change to what we've been seeing the last couple of days, as a lot of the models have been showing straight westerlies, really, and the power up of the polar vortex. But none of the models are really showing that at all anymore by day 10. Briefly milder next week, before heading towards day 10, we could potentially be starting to see some blocking from the sudden stratospheric warming for the second half of January. We've got very deep area of cold to our east, and that's quite widely acknowledged on the models. We just now need the right synoptics that we have been getting recently, and the sudden stratospheric warming could help with that, and we could be pulling in bitterly cold air in the near future. If if we have a look at the the GEFS ensembles, you can start to see there are a few ensemble members starting to have a look at the potential for colder conditions towards the 17th, 18th, 19th of January, setting in. A couple ensemble members going bitterly cold, getting towards -10. There were some earlier runs going even colder, but I suspect at the moment it's very much in balance with a lot of the models, with a lot of the ensemble members putting high pressure there, but not really developing it enough or not running along too much. As you can see, the GFS operational run, it goes very mild toward the end, even though we know it's started to look potentially colder if you ran it along a couple more days. So even though it's still around average to above average towards the end of the model, we still have some colder ensemble members coming out, and most of these ensemble members are probably starting to toy with the idea of high latitude blocking. It is going quite unsettled in the longer term. That might be to do with some of the ensemble members having that low pressure to our east, potentially providing more showers and more rainfall, and potentially the jet stream pushing further south, regardless of what sort of high pressure we see further north. So that could be something that we're starting to see for London, especially. If you look at the dew points, largely above. If we go to actually the image, largely above freezing, you can see a couple more, something's going bitterly cold. Anything below -2, -3 is a bitterly cold air mass for the UK. And you can see by the end of this week, it's a bitterly cold air mass with highs of only 1 or 2 degrees. Now, if you wanted to be from the east, sort of on the March scales, you'd be expecting this to get down to -7, -8, -10, and at 850 HPA getting down to -10 to -15. Now, we're not seeing it at the moment, but there's potential over the next couple of days, it'll start to throw out the potential outcomes we might start to see in a few weeks' time. So this is just a brief update on what impacts that are starting to crop out in the models, and it's just something that we really need to keep an eye on over the next couple of days. I'm sure we will start to see some model eye candy with some brilliant beasts from the east coming out on some of the models and some amazing northern blocking. But it's really what we're going to see with these ensembles, and once it comes into the sort of 10-day time frame is when we're going to start to make potential forecasts rather than just speculation. Because that's all it really is at the moment. But it's just nice to see that the models are starting to deal with it, and they're starting to see there is some propagation going through the atmosphere, as that was a worry when the first hints of sudden stratospheric warming was going on, as we have a disconnect between the troposphere and the stratosphere at the moment. So it does look like the impacts are moving through the atmosphere. So what's going to happen is still up in the air at the moment. Hopefully, though, over the next few days and next week, we will start to see more details emerge, whether we will see a colder spell towards the end of January, or the middle to end of January. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.